thousands of years ago, they were Apollo, Zeus, Ares. Now they are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other heroes and villains of DC and Marvel Comics. Join us every week as we discuss the legendary stories, characters, concepts, and other parts of comics as we examine the modern pantheon of heroes. Let's get heroic. Welcome to Under Two Capes, the podcast for the comic book fan. Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared.
And I'm Lad.
And we got a All right. So, Lad, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yes, we're bringing in a third guest host on for today, my good friend Nicholas Miller, and he's going to be chatting with us on a few different topics. So I will not be the most inexperienced person on the podcast this week.
You're the second most inexperienced now. You've been upgraded.
Yeah, he moved up on the totem pole.
Exactly. All right. So, Nicholas, as usual on Under Two Capes, I have a set of questions I ask every new guest whenever they come on. So, number one, let me find my questions that I have. All right, we'll start with this. All right. Okay. Favorite DC character?
Ooh, I mean, that's...
It's a tough one, I know.
I'm just trying to... It's probably... Well, I mean, if it's anything DC... I mean, I'm tempted to say... I have a few that I'm tempted to say. At first, I was thinking maybe Superman or Batman. Maybe Batman. Mine. But then also Robin from Teen Titans is cool.
Dick Grayson, I love that guy.
Yeah. Dick Grayson, Robin and Teen Titans. And I like the arc where he's fighting Slade and that kind of thing. I don't know. It was just fun.
Deathstroke, my boy. I love Deathstroke.
Yeah. So that's hard. But I feel like...
I'll tell you what, if you want to give me your top five.
Batman, Superman, Dick Grayson, Robin and Teen Titans, and then I might also add No, I think those are my top three. But yeah, if I have to pick, maybe I'll say just Batman. But yeah.
Right. Favorite Marvel character?
Favorite Marvel character. All right, I'm not quite as much of a Marvel man, but I know in the MCU everybody's got to love Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yes.
So yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised. I thought that Spider-Man Homecoming would be the most generic movie ever, but it was actually really good. So that makes me like him a lot.
That definitely was not generic at all.
Yeah, either him or... Yeah, I'd say either him or Captain America, just because.
Love Captain America.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Actually, I liked Winter Soldier so much that I'm going to say Captain America. Yeah.
My man, I was about to say the Winter Soldier stands as it's tied with Endgame as my favorite Marvel movie of all time. Just finding out that S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra the whole time and Captain America has to fight against the U.S. government. That was just
that was
mind blown.
Yes, I feel the same way. Other than the actual Endgame and Infinity War, that's my favorite by far.
That's it. You can't surpass that. I just love that. And then okay, so here's the other one: DC or Marvel, which is better, and why?
I mean, it depends on what you're into, but I like cartoons and animated shows, and even when I was a kid, and I still do like it now some. And I just feel like DC had the cartoon game down, and Marvel didn't.
Still do.
Supposedly Marvel has a lot of good movies, and they're very consistently good. DC has some good movies, but some of them I hear are more disappointing. Although I usually don't go see those.
Like Birds of Prey. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but just for the cartoons, that's where it's at for me. So yeah, I like DC, and I just feel like it's more iconic. I mean, Superman, Batman, that's I mean, like, yeah.
I like it because for me, it's DC as well, and I think a lad said it's DC for him too. But personally, for me, the reason why it's DC is because I was a big fan growing up of Greek myths, and if you notice the difference between Marvel and DC, one of the differences is that DC tends to make their heroes more mythological, as opposed to like Marvel making their heroes more everyday average Joe, which is fine. I like both, but I prefer DC because I like that a sort of myth component that's so deeply embedded in DC.
Yeah. No, it's good.
All right, and how did you get into superhero stuff?
Let's see. From how much I am into it, mostly when I was a kid, I'd watch the Justice League.
Yes,
their show,
my man.
And I watched some of that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Although I stopped figuring out when that was airing. So
2005, I think.
Yeah, but
early.
What were they airing on though? Because I saw some of it on Cartoon Network, but I never saw Justice League Unlimited on Cartoon Network. So I moved to watching Teen Titans, which is what they had. And that I thought was really cool too. So yeah, I mean, Justice League and Teen Titans are my main two superhero things. And then, of course, I saw the first Iron Man, which kind of reignited a lot of the superhero movie stuff. Although I haven't seen the big Batman movies that were supposed to be really good. So yeah.
In terms of live action Batman or animated Batman?
The live action ones that were like supposed to be incredible and also helped reignite
the three ones
superheroes.
You mean the Nolan Batman movies?
Christopher Nolan films.
That might be it. Yeah.
Those are good. I mean, I recently rewatched it with my dad, and I've gone on the podcast saying they weren't as good as people say, but personally, coming at it now, yeah, they're pretty solid. It's just sometimes it's annoying with the amount of ignoring continuity of past continuity that they do, which I believe Nolan said I'm not going to necessarily keep that close to continuity, which is fine. He created something totally unique. He made like modern Batman, which I'm cool with that. I think he did Bane pretty well, honestly.
Yeah. I have to check this out. But anyhow, I hope I didn't answer too long.
No, it's okay. It's great. That's what we're supposed to do, a nice long form discussion. All right, so we are going to talk about the best animated shows from DC and Marvel. And number one, I think we can start with Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Super Friends.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Lad and I have already talked about the show in detail, but considers a rehashing. So it aired from 2001 to 2006, if you're counting JLU. But yeah, that was my introduction into all the superhero stuff, was that show. It's like, because when you notice about that particular anime show, they crammed a lot of DC lore into that one animated show, to the point where if someone said, I want to get into DC Comics, what should I do? Watch that show.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
I remember very distinctly that first movie / 3 episodes with like the aliens and the Martian Manhunter, and there was that whole
white Martians.
Yeah, the white Martians, right? And there was like that whole weird slime and everything, and that was really crazy. Just like watching these heroes. I knew about Batman and all these characters, but seeing them interact, and it was like a bit more mature for like my maybe 8 or 12-year-old mind at the time. So it was like, wow, this is like really,
that show mature.
Well, I mean, for like an 8-year-old, maybe I thought it may have been.
I was really little.
I thought it was
didn't understand the plot at all.
I'll give you that. There were some scenes in that movie where it was like, okay, I have to go. I can't take this anymore.
I thought it was really cool though. It was really cool introduction. It was like, wow, it felt like a movie. Like it was like, this is really cool.
I knew it because I had seen the little short movies they did in that animation style of like Superman meets Batman and all that stuff. But then it's like, so I'm watching this movie and I'm saying, okay, so this guy's named Martian Manhunter. Okay, I'll just follow him. And then the rest of the league shows up and I'm like, who are you people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that movie as a kid on
Me too.
VHS, but
Me too.
I did
I
as
always
well.
thought it was cursed or something as a kid because if I ever watched it, I would end up with a sore throat within the next day. So
Wow.
when I was a kid, I
What?
was like, "There's something wrong with this movie." I always thought it was the white aliens. So yeah,
That's funny.
Mhm. Maybe he's a white Martian right now.
Yeah.
yeah. Is
Need
that their
to-
official name, White Martians? Because they're not from Mars.
The original,
not
so the
really.
way it's supposed to be in the continuity is that there's supposed to be a civil war between the Green Martians and the White Martians, but in this
Oh.
they changed it so it was aliens invading
Yeah,
Mars.
Yeah. They were from outside of Mars,
Yeah, the
probably
Imperium.
outside the solar system.
Which is
Yeah,
also the
yeah.
plot line of Lego Mars Mission, but that's completely side tangent for everyone else.
Of course, you would bring up a Lego thing. Of course, you would.
Well, I remember that kind of thing from Lego Battles, that RTS on the DS. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, I think it will turn up later some discussion that the Lego Batman video game was definitely influential as a child
Oh
into
yeah.
getting into all this. You know, where you had all
Oh,
those
yeah.
bat suits and Robin. We'll talk about that in a little bit, I'm sure.
I played a lot of that. Oh man, to the point where I had like I grinded so hard I unlocked every single character.
Yeah.
It was like really tough. But yeah, so back to the show. So it starts off with the first two seasons. It's like that. It's that core league lineup, and then they get to Justice League Unlimited, and it's like the Justice League apparently recruited their own army, and they're in a satellite that has a laser.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? And I think JLU is where specifically you can get a good introduction to these characters because they had like Zatanna, Booster Gold. The Booster Gold episode was fantastic where everyone thinks he's Green Lantern even though he's wearing gold armor. That was so good.
Yeah. That's something I'd have to check that. I need to go back and rewatch. It's been a long time since I've seen
HBO Max.
Yeah,
I'd probably have to check it out.
I saw all of the original Justice League about like a year ago. I rewatched the whole thing, but I'm not JLU. I've only seen some of those episodes a few weeks ago.
It's really good.
I looked for which the best ones were, and I saw the one where the man who has everything, where the Black Mercy plant flower monster thing gets onto Superman and gets him in a trance. Yeah, that was a good one.
And then it gets on a Batman, and it shows Batman's
and he's imagining his father beating up the criminal and beating him. Yeah.
And then there's Mongol like completely destroying Wonder Woman.
I didn't know he was that powerful. Like, apparently, yeah. And that was a good episode too or good pair of episodes from the original Justice League was the one where Superman travels to his planet and he had kind of like a Roman arena thing.
That's so good.
Yeah,
I love that one. Once again, and then one of my favorites actually came immediately after the first three episodes. It was the one where Jon Stewart is accused of blowing up a planet, and then the Manhunters show up.
Oh, yeah.
And then they almost blow up the Green Lantern Corps, but then Jon belts out the Green Lantern oath and like destroys everyone.
Yeah.
That was so great.
Yeah. That was a good episode.
Anytime there is a moment where anyone recites the Green Lantern oath, it's always so good. So last week on the show, Lad and I were having a trivia contest on like who knew the most comic book trivia. He stumped me on a few of them, but I got him by asking him to recite the Red Lantern oath.
Oh wow!
He reads it and he's like, "Do I have to?"
So I don't know if Nicholas is aware, but there's like different lantern.
The Red Lanterns are the lanterns of hatred, right?
Rage.
Or is it rage? Yes,
rage.
Yes. Yeah, I could imagine Lad not being the kind of guy who would want to read that out loud, whatever that oath is.
Well, I also didn't remember.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. I was gonna put the Green Lantern Corps on there, so recite the Green Lantern Corps oath, but I felt that would be too easy, because I'm sure he'd be able to figure out in brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Like those who worship evils might be where my power, Green Lantern's light. So I was like, why don't I just give him the Red Lantern oath? Because there's no way he knows this one, even though I've said it multiple times in the show.
I also he quizzed
From
me on
my
the Green
notes.
Lantern afterwards, and I still got that one wrong. So
By the way, he didn't know.
You're-
So the Flash in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited is not the Barry Allen Flash. It's Wally West. It's Flash 2, basically. He thought it was Barry Allen, even though they call him Wally West in the show.
Yeah, they call him Wally West. Yeah.
I thought it was Barry Allen because I thought Barry Allen is the Flash. You know?
You're
I
supposed to
don't
be
even know
the
who Barry
Flash
Allen
guy.
was.
Yeah.
Because this was after,
Oh, yeah, I might watch that show.
So DC did a storyline called Crisis on Infinite Earths, and it's where they like blew up the multiverse. So Barry Allen is dead, and then his protege, his Robin, Wally West, who was Kid Flash, took over as Flash, and that lasted for like until 2009 or so. So obviously at this point, Wally West is the only Flash.
Crisis on Infinite Earths had some good movies. That was the one with the Injustice Syndicate thing, right?
That was Crisis on Two Earths, and yeah, it was the Crime Syndicate. In fact, that was originally supposed to be a movie in between JL and JLU to like explain why all these the League all of a sudden expands. It's just that the last second they changed the plot to make it its own movie.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of DC animated movies as well. Like, I'm not even talking like the modern. I'm not sure if Nicholas is aware, but they've had for like a couple years now where they have this kind of like, animated movie universe with like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 different films. They're all kind of separate characters, but then they kind of cross over, kind of like MCU style. But I'm talking before that era, because that modern era is like really good right now. But I'm talking more of like 2000s, 2010s, where we grew up with. They had some good animated films also.
Oh yeah,
like Crisis on Two Worlds and a few of those other ones.
Yeah. Actually, we'll expand this episode topic and talk about the animated movies too. Carry on, sirs.
Yeah. What would Superman Red Sun fall under? I saw that a few months ago. When was that?
That's like 2019. But first off,
okay,
that
so
is an amazing movie.
Yes. The animation's a tiny bit shoddy, but it is really good.
Lad, are you familiar with Red Sun?
You've talked about it, so I'm legally required to be familiar with it.
I have to. My
lawyer has advised me to say that I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, I actually have to do a story on Red Sun.
That was a cool concept. I know the comic existed when we were kids because I remember I was like a 12-year-old with my other 12-year-old friend telling me about it. But but the movie was more recent. Yeah,
the movie's pretty good. Yeah, my favorite 2010 like era of DC animated movies would probably be Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. That's the one that's like where Supergirl first shows up to Earth, because they like bring in. So not only is Supergirl showing up in that show, but you got Wonder Woman, the Amazons, Darkseid, the Female Furies. Is like so much stuff they're cramming in that movie. And they do it naturally, so it's not like it's not getting into a bloated movie,
right?
Which I feel like at some point, kind of Marvel tends to like put like so much in their movies at times. I mean, Endgame, it's understandable because that was like a culmination of 22 movies, so it's understandable why they would put so much stuff in there. But I'm saying so sometimes they make their stuff a little too bloated.
Yeah, no, I'd see it that way as well. Yeah, sometimes that happens, but I don't recall the movie that you're talking about. I have to check it out, that the Apocalypse one that you talked about.
Yeah. All right. So I got a question for you too. What is your favorite DC animated movie?
Animated movie? Oh man. That's a tough one because I really like that first JL movie there. Well, the first 3 episodes was like really good. Animated movie.
I've only seen so many of the movies, and none of them to me stood out beyond the others. They were all good. I saw Red Sun. I saw the one where Superman fights Doomsday,
which one?
And that was
There actually was two. Is it the newer one?
Yeah, I think it's the newer
Yeah.
one, and there's this cool Wonder Woman fight scene with him too in the city, and
where Wonder Woman fights. It's kind of funny. None of the what's kind of funny is that in the actual comic where Superman dies, none of the useful Justice League members show up. It's all like Booster Gold, Maxima, Blue Beetle. No one that would conceivably stand a threat to Doomsday besides Superman. And then what's kind of funny is that they showed in like a one shot that like after he died, that's when Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern show up, and everyone's like, "Where the hell were you people?"
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, that was cool. I went on to this research of, oh my goodness, I suddenly forgot his name, but the big great guy, Doomsday. Yeah, that's it, Doomsday. Yeah, and it's his origin story is cool. How
really
this alien dude like just kept on. Yeah. He set him on this planet. Planet Krypton, to survive against basically Kryptonian dinosaurs, and he'd keep getting killed as a baby. But then Bertram would revive him so that his genes would modify a little bit, and he would keep evolving through the process until he became the perfect creature, the ultimate life form, I guess.
So that means that when Doomsday comes back from what Superman did to him in the movie, he's gonna have a really strong neck.
Yes, that is
You're
exactly
not gonna
right.
be able to, because for those of you that don't know in the movie, Superman punches him so hard his head flips around.
Yeah, he gets him good.
I'm like, whoa. He has alien acupuncture.
Yep.
Well, he has one, in my opinion, one of the coolest Doomsday has one of the coolest powers, which I don't know if there's a name for it, but I call it super evolution, where
Darwinism.
You can evolve your genes, but like inside one lifetime.
That's great. I love
because
that.
that's what he effectively does. Is he can keep adapting without actually having to, have offspring or anything like that. He keeps forwarding his genes, like in the scene where he was able to focus on the Flash and kill him, or not kill him, but knock him out, or in other scenes where he grows more armor or more spikes or whatever. Kind of like Shin Godzilla, I think, has that ability. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting concept for a superpower.
I agree. And definitely Doomsday is one of those characters where, I mean, he showed up in JL and JLU, but they actually made him intelligent and able to speak, and I'm like, what?
Yes,
he's supposed to be a mindless monster. That's his thing.
Yeah, and he didn't even get much of an entry. He first showed up in the amazing the Justice Lord's arc.
And Superman lobotomizes him with his heat vision.
He just does it to him, and they don't even.
And that's why he's stupid when he comes back in the show. That's why he's a mindless monster, because Superman hits him with his heat vision.
Oh,
they don't even explain who he is though in the episode. Like if you were a kid watching that, you would just think, oh, that's just one more random bad guy that the Justice League took down.
An alien. It's an alien bounty hunter.
And by the way, that episode set with the Justice Lords, so good. And when the two Batmans clash, that might be my favorite Justice League moment. When the Batmans clash and they have their fight along with their argument, and it seems like Justice Lord Batman's going to win with the whole safety thing. But then when they our Batman kind of goes over to their side, but then he convinces the Justice Lord Batman, because when they stop at that restaurant where that guy gets taken away for making a ruckus, and he's Mom and Dad, they'd be so proud of you. They would have loved it here, don't you think? And so it gets them to.
That was fantastic.
And I like how it's perfect. It was perfect because Justice League.
I like how they started.
Our mom and dad would be alive if we were doing this already, but then Justice League Batman got him with, "Is this what our mom and dad would want?"
And then I love how what happened with that show. It was the greatest thing of all time, where it starts off and Superman is like rampaging through the White House, and then I'm like, what is going on? They just start with that. No indication of what happened. They just start with that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he just kills Lex Luthor president. I'm like, what?
Yep.
And I'm like, this had better be in Elseworlds, because otherwise I'm gonna be really upset here. You can't have the normal Superman in a kids show kill the president.
See, I always get scared of those scenes though, because I always think there's got to be at least one Justice League fan kid who was watching that, and then his parents walked in at the wrong time and thought Justice League had bad themes, and they're like, "What are they showing on TV? Superman just killed the president, and then you're no more Justice League for you, kid." Yeah. So,
I just got the warning that the meeting will end in 10 minutes, at which point we will restart this, and we've already gone over the procedure.
We'll roll the ads.
Yeah, we'll roll the ads. But anyway, I'd imagine it would be hilarious to be a parent walking in that one scene where Batman is captured by the Injustice Society, and he's trying to get Cheetah to let him out. So he's kind of seducing an anthropomorphic Cheetah. And I'm like, well done, Bat.
I don't know that one. He's too good. He's smooth.
Yeah, he has a thing for cats.
Oh man. Yeah, Catwoman, Cheetah, all adds up.
Oh, it's great. What didn't click until much later is that JL and JLU actually exist in the same continuity as Teen Titans, I think.
I heard they were going to have a well, actually I take that back. I was going to say I heard that Static Shock, who had a crossover with the JL, was going to have a crossover with the Teen Titans, but then they canceled it. So yeah, that's all I knew about the same continuity. And by the way, I forgot to mention, that's another one that got me into superheroes. Static Shock was a show.
Yeah, that was a pretty dope show.
Oh my goodness! That. I mean, it was like, it was cool because I love the big concepts in a lot of superhero stuff. Like I talked about the two Batman fighting, and you have the safety versus freedom kind of thing.
I love that.
Ideological, but at the same time, Shock's problems were the problems that he would help characters with were so real, so close, and they hit hard, and it was just really cool. It made Static Shock a really cool and unique superhero show, but they were still really creative with the writing, so it was really nice. Oh, hold on a second, I just have to get up. 30 seconds.
All right, so Lad, what's your?
I recall Static Shock. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What's your favorite animated show?
I remember very distinctly Batman Brave and the Bold. I'm not sure if you watch much of that, or
I watched a little. I watched clips on the internet.
Did you just say Batman the Brave and the Bold?
I liked it.
I love that.
This is the same guy. This is the same guy who said his favorite Batman is Adam West.
And we'll get there eventually, okay? Because it technically does fall in this category, and I'll explain why later. But yes, Batman Brave and the Bold is probably, it was more of like I was in the proper age to enjoy it, because I feel like I got like mentally scarred multiple times with watching Static Shock, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond. Oh yeah,
I love Batman Beyond.
Terry McGinnis Batman. I remember I became mentally scarred multiple times from the different episodes because I was too young to watch it. Like when Robin in Batman Beyond, when Robin was like turned into a Joker child and he was like psychotic, and then even older he was still haunted by that scared me like really badly.
I just rewatched that movie.
The Justice League Origins, when the aliens, and then they were like probing Martian Manhunter, and it was like their tentacles were going up his nose and through his body.
Scary.
That was
in there. I was like, oh.
That was a scarring moment. I think something in Static Shock, something with like some sort of like electricity monster, something scared me. Yeah, but basically I was traumatized by a lot of different episodes of these shows because I was too young to watch it.
It's really easy to traumatize you.
Basically, yes. And I think Batman Brave and the Bold was a little bit also not as serious, but I was a little older, so I liked it. Batman Brave and the Bold was more distinct story. Batman teaming up with some other hero on some fun mission, and it was, there was stakes, but not, people weren't usually dying or some dramatic thing wasn't happening, and it was usually pretty comedic also. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. And I think later on they actually introduced like Superman and Wonder Woman and the Justice League, and it actually became more of like a big roster. So it was really fun. They had
we took over your show, Batman.
Do you remember that scene where Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman are all at like an old fashioned U.S. diner.
Yeah.
And they have like the hamburgers and the milkshakes and all the food, and they're like, and Superman's like, when I'm talking about truth, justice, and the American way, this is what I'm talking about. It was really good.
I'm gonna watch this show. I actually have to watch it at this point because that's great.
They have now. I mentioned the Justice Lords earlier because I love superheroes fighting the evil parallel versions trope.
Yeah.
But there's a really good one of those in Batman the Brave and the Bold where he's up against, and it was called the Injustice Syndicate, I think, that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, they had a really good one because first, like, Owlman shows up to Batman's world to try and attack him, and they get into a big fight. And then Batman beats Owlman and then steals his suit and travels back to his world to infiltrate the Injustice Syndicate. So it's like really, it was cool.
That was so good because I know which one you're talking about, because when he goes there, all the heroes are bad villains and the villains are good guys. Yes. And he has to team up with Joker, but in this one he
as the Red Hood.
Red Hood. He had like the dome, the dome cylinder on his head. That was good.
Yeah.
And they even continued that.
Batman.
They continued that with a two-parter because he actually saves the day there. But then they made it that when he comes back to his world, Owlman had escaped and pretended to be Batman and started committing a lot of crimes. So now Batman was on the run from the Justice League, and he had to prove his innocence to all the rest of the Justice League. So the Justice League was actually hunting him down because they thought he had turned evil. And so on this world, now his regular world, he was forced to team up with the Joker to prove that he was like the good guy for some reason. I don't know. It was like really cool. So he had to face it was Batman and the Joker versus Owlman and like some of the Justice League members and some of the bad guys. It was like a whole really cool arc. I remember that, Nicholas. That was good.
Yeah. And then doesn't Batman bring in like an army of parallel universe good guy Batmans?
That was one of the
episodes.
episodes.
A psychic one and a gargoyle one. I thought that was
and
all
then
part
at
of the
one
same
point, and then at one point, you hear Robin go, "On your left."
On your left, yeah.
Yeah. My goodness.
There was an episode, Jared, you'd have to watch it, where the Batman and, like Aquaman and a few of the other Justice League members, they were on another planet saving the day. And there was like this big explosion that Batman saved the whole city, but he got injured, like he injured his back or something. So he was in the hospital, and then Batman was like, they were visiting him, and Batman's like, "Oh, I'm so nervous, that like who's gonna protect Gotham City?" And then they're like, "Oh, don't worry, no one's even gonna know that you're been gone." And then all of a sudden they're seeing all this, like, everyone's talking about how Batman is injured and he's in the hospital. Yeah. And Batman's like, "How did people find out?" And then Aquaman's like, "Oh yeah, I had a book signing." And Aquaman literally had a book about the day Batman was injured or something like that. And he was like autographing books and was publishing it. And he caused so all the villains were like getting ready to attack Gotham City because they knew Batman had escaped.
Oh man.
So Batman's superhero friends, they all dress up as Batman and pretend to be him to try and fight crime in Gotham. So
yeah. I mean, Green Arrow became a Batman. There was a few other ones I forget that pretend to be Batman so that they could like cover the city for him. But Batman was just and thing is, they had three really powerful superheroes pretend to be Batman, and they couldn't do it. They were defeated by the villains, but then at the very end, Batman shows up and throws one boomerang or one batarang and takes out the whole enemy bad guy ship and defeats everyone with just one batarang.
Because I'm Batman.
Because he's Batman.
That's right. That's right.
We are gonna pause this to come back in momentarily. Please enjoy this quick call from our ads. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed our commercials. We are now going to turn from Batman the Brave and the Bold into the Super Friends.
Oh, okay.
Now, I haven't seen this show in like forever. So, lad, this is you now.
So, yes, the good old Super Friends TV show created, I don't know when, I think by Funimation, or maybe it was by Hanna-Barbera or something like that.
One of those. Coming from the Great Hall of Justice, the greatest of the greatest group of superheroes of all time: Aquaman, Commander of the Sea, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
It's just the same announcer for every show they have.
Yeah, man, this show, I just watched it when I was pretty young, but like I just remember watching. I had like 1 or 2 episodes only, but I've watched them like multiple times. So I just was like ingrained in my head. It's like, oh, they had the Justice League, and it was like the bad guys were the Legion of Doom, and it was like that's a cool bad guy, and they had the cool Darth Vader helmet base.
Yeah, yeah.
Darth Vader helmet base.
Darth
That was the
Vader helmet
coolest
awesome.
base
Yeah.
of all time. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it when they reference that. Yeah.
Apparently, Darkseid showed up in this show. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He did. I watched a
Oh,
video about it
jeez.
like last week. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
s-
it was good.
I tell you, I have memories as a wee chap, a wee lad, if you will, tuning into Boomerang to watch the Super Friends, and I was like,
Oh.
this show is campy.
Yeah, it was cutesy, but they had some fun stuff where they actually, there was like the Legion of Doom stole all their superpowers, and they had to escape from, the Green Lantern had to escape from a sphere of yellow or something like that, or and like all these characters were like, in different situations. And I remember one where the Flash was captured, and he actually used his speed to vibrate through a wall. And this was before the Flash. This is from the 1960s. I don't even know when this is from. Before any like modern Flash TV show where he does that, and it's cool. Like as a kid also, and around like 2005, that was like so cool. Like, oh wow, he's not just fast, but he's like, I will vibrate my molecules at just the right frequency, and I'll pass through this solid wall. And I was like, that's so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
My most the one episode I remember is where like the Legion of Doom was trying to market themselves as good guys, so they called themselves the Legion of Good. I was like,
Always have to have an episode like that in those old cartoons.
always have to have that where the bad
Or
guys
like
turn
there was a
good.
time when the Decepticons did something like that. They all those probably
They framed
Cobra.
the Autobots for being bad guys, but it turns out it was just Starscream and like a really poor I still don't understand how Starscream put on an Optimus Prime helmet and made the mouth move and everything. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Transformer Tech.
Yeah.
Because they're Cybertronians.
Yep.
But
I've only ever seen.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
I've only ever seen about a week or two ago. I was looking into the Super Friends by coincidence, and I've only ever seen one full episode, which is the one where, once again, I love the evil superhero alternate universe, and it's the one where they do that, and Superman goes to like plug up a volcano or something, and it gets struck by lightning and switches places in different universes with an evil Superman in an alternate universe. So now the evil Superman,
because that's what happens when you get struck by lightning, right?
Yeah, it's because good Superman was trying to stop the volcano from erupting, and the evil Superman was trying to make the volcano erupt. Oh yeah, and in the evil universe, the evil Super Friends, I think they're called the Super Enemies or something stupid like that. They're not even like just conquer the world. They just go around causing natural disasters for no reason. Like
so it's kind of like in SpongeBob. So it's kind of like in SpongeBob where they had like the League of Extraordinary Super Acquaintances or something like that.
Yeah, the IJLSA.
That's good.
National Justice League of Super Acquaintances.
There you
But
go.
yeah, but they would just go around like blowing up dams or I guess trying to make volcanoes erupt so that disasters would happen. I mean, there's no profit to be made, but whatever. So basically, yeah, Superman's on the run from the evil Justice League, and in our universe, evil Superman is trying to conquer the regular Justice League. But eventually they get switched back, and yeah, that's it. But they were teasing that they were going to have another one where the superheroes go to save the twisted universe, but they never actually made that episode. So
yeah.
What a shame.
If I ever have to explain Super Friends to anyone, what I would just show them is that one clip of Aquaman surfing on 2 dolphins as he's talking to fish.
That's what he does.
That explains. And what's kind of funny? That's why up until we had the DC EU, everyone thought Aquaman was a joke who talked to fish. In fact, Batman makes that joke in Justice League, and I hope it's in the Snyder Cut, where Bruce Wayne is like, Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. I heard you can talk to fish.
Yep.
They even asked him that in the comics. It's like Aquaman is in a restaurant with Mara having a burger or like a fish sandwich or something like that or something. But the point
Whoa,
is that
fish.
someone comes up to him and goes, "Do you really talk to fish?" He goes, "No, I just make mental suggestions at them." And I'm like, "So you basically talk to fish?"
Oh my goodness.
But okay, so Super Friends had like a lot. It had a lot of different versions of it. There was like Super Friends, and then there was like the challenge of the Super Friends,
Yes,
Super
yes.
Friends Power Hour, Super Friends, Superman Power Hour. There was like a lot of variations of it, but I remember the one that had the Wonder Twins added into it, and I love the Wonder Twins. They were so much
Wonder
fun.
Twins powers activate.
Yeah,
I-
it was cute because they were like
Anyways.
young characters. Like there was, kind of like how
yeah.
Spider-Man was the relatable character. These were like the relatable kid characters for me.
Because around that
Interesting.
point in comic book history, that was when like they started to see about how popular like younger superheroes are, and that's why at that point you saw an explosion of superheroes with sidekicks.
Yep. Yep.
I see. Yeah.
And then eventually you just focus on the youth, like with Teen Titans or a lot of different stuff.
Or
Static
Young
Shock.
Justice, and that's our next
Young
show. We're talking
Justice.
about Young Justice,
I
Yep.
heard
which
that was
was
super good, but I didn't watch.
probably one of my favorite series of all time, because it's like it was a show about the younger heroes, but it was also a Justice League series.
Yes.
And it's like, I mean,
Can you
they
give
had
us a synopsis? Because I've never
All right.
actually watched it. I just know about it's like all the sidekicks of the Justice League characters, and they have their Young
Yeah.
Justice.
the main ones are Robin, Dick Grayson, Speedy, not Speedy, well, kind of Speedy, who is Red Arrow, Roy Harper, and then Cal Durham, who is Aqualad, and then Wally West, Kid Flash. And so the first episode is them. They're like, all of a sudden, they're like solving crimes, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, "This is the day." They keep saying that throughout the entire episode, and because they think they're being inducted into the Justice League, but no, they're just being allowed to enter the Hall of Justice.
Oh man.
And the public thinks the Hall of Justice is the League's headquarters, but they don't know there's like an orbiting satellite.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then they'll bring in other characters like Artemis, who is Green Arrow's niece, but not really. It's revealed later on the show. Ms. Martian, who is a Martian Manhunter's adopted niece. I say adopted because she's a white Martian. But she's actually a really nice white Martian. But and then what happens is there's this organization called Cadmus. Basically, think about it as kind of Shield, except run by Lex Luthor.
Oh.
And there's like an emergency at a Cadmus facility, and Robin, Aqualad, and Kid Flash show up against orders, because that's what sidekicks do. That's what teenagers do whenever the adults tell them to do anything. And they find Superboy, who is a clone of a clone using DNA from Superman and Lex Luthor. So it's like that's like the core team, and then they'll add in other characters as they come around, because I think like Wonder Girl, Cassie Sandsmark shows up. They have Blue Beetle. I'm trying to see who else shows up. Lagoon Boy, who's like kind of, I forgot. He's kind of like a pufferfish, I guess. I don't know these characters. And then they have like, and then season 1 ends, and then season 2 is Dick Grayson as Nightwing. So the characters actually evolve as the show goes on. And then they have Tim Drake being Robin, and then they hint that like Jason Todd was killed because they have his like memorial. And then it's like you also, and then at the same time they bring in a lot of the villains, like let's see, this guy called the Brain, and his pet ape that has a machine gun.
Yeah.
And then I know, I'm just like, where do they get these guys? Black Manta shows up pretty like extensively in the show. See who else is really cool. Vandal Savage plays a role. Darkseid plays a large role. They bring in all the Apocalypse stuff in the most recent season, and I believe they're going into season 4 now. And then it's like,
Wait, are they continuing Young Justice?
yeah,
I thought it was canceled. That's why I didn't bother. That I thought they got canceled tragically.
season 2, it was canceled for like a couple of years, and then DC brought it back on their streaming service, and then they brought it back on
Oh.
HBO Max.
Sweet.
It's like
Okay,
a
I
Clone
gotta
Wars
get into
situation.
that, 'cause
It's like a
I
Clone Wars
heard it was really
situation.
good. Yeah, I heard it was really good. So
Watch
I'll
the
check
show.
that
It's
out.
super good. Super good.
Yes.
And then season 3, they kind of dealt with like human trafficking, and that someone is trafficking metahumans, metahuman kids. So it turns out it's Darkseid who's trying to build an army. And then even there,
Oh, interesting.
they bring in like Granny Goodness, the female Furies. Like they cram a lot. This is essentially our
Yeah.
generation's JLU. Think about it like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It sounds like a bit more of like a
everything
little
in there.
bit more mature version of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, kind of like
And Teen
Clone Wars
Titans, kind of.
style. Titans, yeah.
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 And
And
like a more mature Teen Titans. Yeah.
they bring in Lobo, and that's always as great as so. Lobo is basically like a DC's version of Wolverine in that he heals, but he kind of has the personality of Deadpool.
Okay.
Basically, he's DC's Deadpool. That's pretty much the best way. In that, so there was this storyline in the comics where he bit his finger, and the blood, and he can regenerate from a single cell, but that drop of blood, every blood cell spawned a Lobo. So it's like a drop of blood,
wow.
and he had a Lobo army.
Oh my goodness.
That's how ridiculous this character is. And then
Yeah,
they
that sounds
brought
really
in.
OP.
They kind of did like a Judas Contract like story where we have Tara, and then she betrays everyone because she's working with Deathstroke.
Mm.
Yep. That's like a comic theme, and of course they did that in Teen Titans too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they ever do anything with Robin being forced to do evil stuff?
They did a lot with like the team keeping secrets from each other. They had this one part where, so in season 3, what happens is Lex Luthor becomes a Secretary General of the United Nations, and that sounds like something the UN would do. They're that inept. So, and then they, a la Captain America Civil War, want to place the Justice League under the purview of the UN. So Batman and a bunch of the Bat family characters leave the League and form their own little group called the Outsiders, and they they do the Justice League mission, except on their own terms. But then it turns out this was all according to plan to expose Lex Luthor. Like this was all an elaborate plan within the Justice League. And Wonder Woman has a problem with it because being a being of truth, she hates lying. So she's like, "Are you guys really comfortable with lying? If we're keeping secrets from our friends, what's the difference between us and the bad guys?" She makes a good point, though.
That's kind of cool.
And then they also show like a significant portion of season 1 is when you see Superman, because Superman is initially like hesitant to have anything to do with Superboy because of the Lex Luthor clone thing. And actually, see, here's the thing. Superboy's on paper purpose is to replace Superman if he dies. But Lex Luthor also made him to kill Superman. So obviously there's kind of a little bit of a distrust there. But then eventually Superman kind of warms up to him.
That's cool.
And they basically deal a lot with this team of heroes finding their own identities outside of being the sidekicks of like all the famous superheroes. In fact, they become basically the covert action team for the League. So it's like if the League needs something done, but they don't want everyone to know it was the League, they send in this team. Which is like, when you think about it, it's kind of like child endangerment, because they're sending them in one of the in one of their first episodes, they fought Bane.
Oh my goodness!
I'm like, dude, he will kill everyone.
Oh my goodness!
But yeah, we'll do another episode and do a big deep dive into Young Justice. But let's go into Marvel now. So
Oh.
the most memorable Marvel show, I think, is to me at least, is Avengers EMH, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I know what you guys think. Well, before I so before I go into this, what is your guys' favorite Marvel animated show?
So, do you have an answer, Nick, or I have an answer?
I have an answer.
Okay, you go. You go.
Okay.
Then.
I have seen zero footage of any Marvel animated anything.
Oh, really?
But one of those shows has the sickest theme song. It's the one that goes like
Always, we will fight.
yeah,
as
always
one.
one. We always
That's
fight
Avengers.
as
Yeah, it's Avengers or Earth Mightiest Heroes. That does have the best theme song of
one. So
all of them.
that is.
I could
listen
hear
to
that
all
on
the
a
time.
loop
I love
forever
that.
and be happy.
I know.
I've
It
never
is
heard it.
so good.
Oh, have you watched the show?
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh!
I started watching Marvel animated stuff right around basically because I didn't really know too much about Marvel at all, except maybe I heard of Spider-Man. I was always DC because of the animated, they own the animated area. I never got into Iron Man or the other live action movies when they came out because I was still a little young, and no, I'm the oldest of my family. So I wasn't into that. But then my sister said, "Hey, this Avengers movie is coming out. Let's go see it." And that was the first, Marvel thing I really watched, and that was so cool seeing like all these superheroes
Avengers
together.
was perfect.
That was like so awesome. I was like, I don't know what I was like 12 or so, 13.
Yeah, we were at. I remember we were discussing it at Saints, so it was
Yeah.
around that time. We were probably like 12 or 13. Yeah,
That's exactly, and that's what got me, I think, into it.
yeah.
And from there, it was right on that time when the MCU. That was when the MCU started getting really large when the Avengers happened. So I came in right at that time, and because of that, I watched animated shows like Ultimate Spider-Man and Avengers
Ultimate
Assemble,
Spider-Man
which
was great.
that whole like little era connected TV shows was where I was at, and that's I really enjoy those shows. I never got into Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but I heard it's good.
They did legit the Secret Invasion storyline where most of the Avengers were replaced by Skrulls.
Ooh.
And then it's like so it's really weird because there's a storyline where there's this part where first off they have Ms. Marvel, like the cool Ms. Marvel, not the one that we have now, Kamala Khan. And I mentioned that I just want to say for the record on the show, I did read a Ms. Marvel comic. It's not for me. I can understand how some people would like it. It's just not for me. But anyway, so Ms. Marvel has to differentiate who's a Skrull and who's not, and there's like Captain America's a Skrull, and it ends up basically ruining Captain America's reputation among the people. Tony Stark is a Skrull. Let me see who else is a Skrull. It's like pretty much the entire Avengers team are Skrulls, and it's like and then they have this battle with the Super Skrulls where they're basically Skrull soldiers but have been given like Avengers level powers. And then like at the last second where it looks like everyone's gonna lose, Thor shows up and then completely wrecks everyone because it's Thor.
Nice.
So they had that, but I also was a big fan of the Avengers Assembled TV show. And because it's like I can understand. I mean, I will say this: EMH had a much better theme song. I agree with you on that one. That had like the greatest theme song of any. It's up there with the JL and JLU theme.
I see. Okay, so you explained a little bit of the premise of the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, but okay, so what are some like your cool storylines? Like you said, Secret Invasion was really cool.
Secret Invasion. They did a little bit with the Winter Soldier. They did an ongoing series in like all the episodes where you weren't sure if Black Widow was a Hydra agent or Shield agent. They did a lot where they actually recruited. It actually started slowly where the first couple of episodes are just of the individual Avengers characters, and then they started off when the Avengers first like assembled. It was the original first lineup of the comic, and that Captain America was not on the first lineup because he was still frozen in ice.
Ooh.
And they show him them thawing him out. He becomes an Avenger. Then Black Panther shows up. Way better origin story for Black Panther, by the way. And then they show Ms. Marvel was a sword agent, which sword is like shield except it monitors space. And then she was exposed to like Kree energy. Kree is an alien race if you've seen the MCU. And then she became Ms. Marvel, and then we have that one. And then, but I felt what I liked about the sequel series, I say sequel series because it wasn't like linked to EMH, but it was like came after it, was Assembled, is that they brought in a little more of the Marvel universe. Like you had MODOK as a villain, Red Skull who got Iron Man's armor. You had the Squadron Supreme, which is basically Marvel's version of the evil Justice League in this timeline. They're basically JL ripoffs, except they didn't call the Wonder Woman character Wonder Woman. They called her Zarda, which I appreciate that. And they made her look nothing like Wonder Woman, unlike the current iteration. But then they also brought in, like, they did a whole thing with the Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos. They brought in like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. They brought in like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like so many characters showed up in this one show, and also in the other one too. But mostly, this is the one that I think of the most.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I like, yeah, that sounds cool. I had to check it out at one point, and I want to describe Avengers Assemble for Nick. I'm not sure if Nick has really seen as much of it, but season 1 especially was phenomenal. It had a really good overarching storyline where it started off with like the Red Skull, which is like, Captain America's villain. He's like dying from like all that experimentation, the red face probably thing. I don't know, probably not good for you or something.
Something like that.
And he actually steals Iron Man's armor, a pair of armor, so he can kind of survive, but it's only temporary. So he's kind of dying. And what he does is he's actually teamed up with a couple other villains that like I haven't really
Legion of Doom.
Not the Legion of Doom. They're actually like kind of like a Dracula-like character. There's like an evil Aquaman type character. I forget. He's like a fish dude.
Atuma.
Yeah, Atuma. And there's a few other ones. But thing is, these villains are all very, evil, and they distrust each other. And so a really cool storyline that happens here is the good guys are obviously the main characters, but they develop the villains a lot, where the good guys, have their general battles and struggles, and they have cool storylines some episodes focused on an individual hero, but they have this storyline with the villains where Red Skull is analyzing all their previous fights, and he determines that the reason why they can't succeed is because they don't trust each other like the heroes do. The one thing they lack. So then he comes up with, do you trust me? Like, I have a plan to succeed here, but it requires that we trust each other. And so, their villains, are they going to be able to do it? And then they actually pull off this whole thing where some of the villains get captured, but then it was all part of a big plan, and they kind of trick the Avengers, and Tony thinks he knows what he's doing, but he kind of gets too far ahead of himself. Like he gets, egotistical, and he gets tricked by Red Skull to like sent to a wrong location, and the bad guys actually get like the MacGuffin artifact before the Avengers do, and they actually wipe out the Avengers for a couple episodes there. And because they actually trust each other for a little bit, so they actually became like a significant threat for the second half of the season.
And then there was an episode where the Squadron Supreme actually rewrite reality using the Reality Stone from the Infinity Gauntlet, and make it so the Avengers are the bad guys and the Squadron Supreme are Earth's mightiest heroes.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So good.
That was a good one.
Oh wow!
And they had this one where Doctor Doom rewrites reality, and everyone, but Thor is the only one that knows that this is not the way it's supposed to be. And it's like in that episode that they have like Spider-Man, Falcon as part of the Resistance, and all of a sudden they bring in the Punisher.
Yeah, they had.
I'm like, oh, it's the Punisher.
They had a really good one also where it was a single episode. It was about Doctor Doom, but the villains, it was called a cabal of villains. They wanted Doctor Doom to join them, but he was refusing to. And so basically they were trying to like I don't know, attack him or destroy him, and so he was like like under like he was scared that he was going to get attacked by the villains, and because Doctor Doom is the president of Latveria, so he has diplomatic immunity. He's a representative. He sometimes comes to America. The Avengers were actually assigned like a security detail for Doctor Doom, and so they had to protect
I
him
didn't see this one.
from the villains. And Captain America is good. It's his whole like like a political and theological debate between him, like what is like power and strength, and they have to like trust each other. And Doctor Doom doesn't seem like he wants to listen to Cap, but eventually Captain America convinces him to accept their help. And then it comes time for, they need to, Doctor Doom's under threat. He's being attacked by the villains. They can't protect him. They're like, the only place that's safe is the Avengers Tower. And then the rest of the Avengers are like, no, don't take him there because, he might try to do something like steal our information or something. And Captain America says, this is what's right. This is our job. We have to protect him as a diplomat. So he takes him there. And of course, it seems like everything's okay, but he did steal information from them, and it was all like a plan by Doctor Doom to pretend like he was weak and get their information. But it was cool because it was a final trick around the rosy where Captain America said that he did believe in democracy and giving people a chance, but doesn't mean that he was going to let his guard down. And it shows that Iron Man had set up a special code in the tower, where only thing Doctor Doom downloaded was just a giant virus that shuts down all of Latveria and like blackout and everything like that.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a whole it was a single episode, but it was really good, like political, theological debate there.
They did this one episode that was like a straight ripoff from a storyline DC did called Tower Babel, where basically someone breaks into a helicarrier, steals these plans that Falcon came up with. Then all of a sudden, the Avengers start dropping one by one. Turns out this villain has stolen. So when Falcon was in the Shield Academy, one of his assignments is, if the Avengers ever turn evil, come up with ways to beat them. So this villain got hands on these plans, starts wiping out the Avengers. So I'm like, didn't Batman do this to the Justice League at some point? I'm like, wait, what?
Batman did that. Yeah,
that was a good movie, by the way.
Yes,
speaking of great movies, but I'm like, wait a second, Marvel, this is just, and it's legitimately blatant. The only way it would be even more blatant is if it was Tony Stark and not Falcon that was doing it.
No, it's really good. It has, and I felt like season 1 was the strongest, where the villains actually were important. As it went on, the villains were kind of just, the bad guys, and it was focused only on the heroes. But that first season was really incredible. The villain storyline, where it wasn't just about the heroes, becoming strong and the best. It was the villains had their own personal storyline, and they actually were, character arc and development throughout the season, and they actually were improving. Like, they were getting better, they weren't just getting defeated like all the time. So I enjoyed that show. That was a good show.
I loved it. Cool. Oh man,
that's really cool. That sounds super cool.
Yeah, let's see, anything else before we wrap up? Obviously, we have the X-Men animated series from the 90s. That's amazing. That is one of the best intro songs of all time.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I can remember that, but obviously we can. Obviously, we have exactly. Obviously, we have the Batman the animated series, and then we have the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons from the 40s. Now these are special because in the first episode of the Superman and Lois show that just started, they show him lifting a green car like in Action Comics #1, and he's wearing the Max Fleischer suit.
Oh,
it's like the old 1940s suit, and I'm like, what?
That's cool. I love that throwbacks like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And then obviously, I think what I'm gonna do is we'll devote an entire episode just to Spider-Man shows because he has so many.
I'd be glad to talk about them because I was about to say we didn't get to talk about Spider-Man, but that's perfect with
Trust me,
me.
he's deserving of his own. He needs his own episode for that.
Spider-Man has some amazing TV shows. I've only really watched
does.
one of them myself, but I kind of want to get into some of his other shows because they're really good.
One more series I want to mention before we get off is the Batman show from 2004 to 2008, the one that like Cartoon Network aired.
Oh, okay, I see.
The one that had the really weird design for Catwoman. I'm trying to remember what that was. Yeah, but
2004
anyway,
to 2008. You don't mean the Batman, the Brave and the Bold, then?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Brave and the Bold. It was like they kind of had a younger version of Batman, but with
Beware the Batman.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's what that is. That's what I'm talking about. And then what I liked about that is that eventually they brought in the League. So it's like all of a sudden you have Superman, Green Arrow, Manhunter will be showing up for episodes on end. So it goes from just Batman to all of these characters.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have the amazing Harley Quinn show, which again we'll devote an entire episode to that too because yeah, it's so good. It is so good.
I got one thing that I wanted to bring up that I didn't get to.
All right, go ahead.
We didn't say much about Teen Titans, but
Teen Titans is good.
That plot line, I kept mentioning it, is that plot line where Slade blackmails Robin into being his apprentice temporarily by getting those probes into the other four. Mm-hmm. And when Robin was stealing for Slade was like, I was monitoring your heart rate, and you're having an adrenaline rush, and you like stealing from me, that kind of thing. I'd love to see that story, that kind of story concept expanded upon, maybe in some other Batman of Justice League media. It doesn't even have to be a main plot, but maybe like a side plot where because Robin actually, if you look at the background, Robin actually stole a chip from Wayne Enterprises, or that's where he was at, using his inside knowledge. So that would be a cool plot line if Robin was kind of like blackmailed into being a villain for a time, and like Batman or somebody else who knew him had to deal with it. So that could be expanded upon more. I just want to say that.
That is really cool. I mean, you said you really enjoyed Teen Titans, right? Like you.
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll do an episode on Teen Titans as well, and obviously you're invited to hop onto that one so we can talk about that show, because that show was like made my was like my show for like years and years and years when it was on TV.
That one was really good. It had a lot of fun stuff. It also traumatized me at one point or two.
Yeah, there are some scary parts of that show where I'm like, where you have the boyfriend Fang, who's like a guy that has a spider for a head. I'm like, God.
The one where they defeated Slade. Slade was really creepy. Like I know his name is Deathstroke, but they didn't even need that. Just calling him Slade was so creepy. All place how just his eye kind of stared out. But then also he kind of like died. But then how Robin started seeing him everywhere, and it felt like Robin was going crazy, and he was physically getting attacked and damaged. That like traumatized me for so long. I was so scared that like it was so creepy how like no one else could see what was happening to him, but he was like going crazy. And then they found that the mask had some sort of chemical in it. That's why he was seeing all those things. But the fact that it was just so how they tied Robin up like in a straitjacket, and he was going crazy like no, like that episode was that I was done for that one was too much for me.
Stuff gets into your head pretty easily. It sounds like.
I know. that was pretty dark parts of that show.
For your own good.
Well, this is why I kind of like don't let myself watch certain shows, because I know, I mean, maybe not now, but at least when I was younger, I would definitely get traumatized by it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there are a lot of animated shows where I'm like, how is this marketed toward kids? in their defense, they were adopting a lot of storylines that clearly were not made for kids.
No.
You're not going to see a Marvel Zombies kid show. That'd be hilarious, though. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed our discussion. We will be doing like individual episodes like Lad and I did earlier on JL and JLU, and then on the other anime shows. And obviously, Nicholas, you're more than welcome to hop on for those ones to talk about it, because love having you on. All right. Anything else you guys want to mention before we head out?
Nope.
All right, Lad, I'm going to give you homework. Watch WandaVision.
Watch WandaVision? But it's not animated, is it?
Watch WandaVision.
Okay. So I haven't gotten to start it yet, and I know the season finale ended, but at least I can't fall any farther behind. But I need to.
And they're 20 minutes each. It's not like it's a 40-minute show.
I know, but I just haven't gotten motivated to watching it. But I know you told me that's some cool stuff about it. But I'm gonna add it onto my schedule of things to do. But things get pushed back, timetables move.
And so just so the fans know, that's why we haven't covered any WandaVision stuff. I'm waiting for Lad.
Yeah.
Once we cover that.
I'm making sure my schedule remains completely free, so nothing gets in the way of Snyder Cut. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm making sure
that's another thing. 2 weeks. Yes, our episode in 2 weeks is going to be on the actual Snyder Cut. I'm still warning you in advance. Spoilers. We will be talking about it. We're not holding anything back. We will put massive, all caps spoilers with 8 exclamation points after it.
Yes. And
so
Jared,
if you watch this, don't complain to me in the comments about how we spoiled it. We warned you people.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, always a pleasure, Lad and Nicholas. Thanks for hopping on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I loved it.
Yeah, this is good times.
Love to have you back. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
Yep.
Stay heroic, everyone.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.